You're not broke because of your environment. You're stuck because you're still operating as the same person who was built in that environment. That's why people have the same life for 5, 10, or even 20 years, even when you're capable of more. That's because they changed locations, but then changed their internal person or the structure. I've built multiple companies and scaled money in real capital intense environments. And I moved from survival level thinking into high stakes decision making when I was under pressure. And none of that came from chasing money. So this is where I grew up. Everything in this environment was built around survival. No long-term thinking, definitely no strategy. I was just trying to get through the day. And when you grow up like that, you don't just learn behaviors. You build your entire identity or who you are around it. You learn to react fast. You always trying to prove yourself. And you definitely learn how to operate under pressure, but not necessarily how to direct it. But then I got exposure. I was in different rooms, having different conversations that also came with different expectations. But that's where it hit me. I didn't leave that environment by accident. I outgrew the person or identity that was tied to it. That shift wasn't random. It followed a pattern. I call these identity shifts. 3 of them changed everything. So you go from survival to strategic. In survival, you're only thinking short term. It's like, what solves the immediate issues that I have? Or what reduces this pressure right now? But strategy is different. Strategy absorbs pressure and plays more long term. When you're operating from survival, you make fast decisions, but they don't compound. But when I shifted to strategic, I started building instead of reacting. So then you go from reactive to regulated. Reactive feels productive, but it's fast. It's emotional. It feels like movement, but it's not controlled. Regulated, on the other hand, means you don't just move because something happened, but you also choose how to respond. And that's where the actual power shows up. Because now you're starting to move from proving to protecting. Early on, you try to prove yourself to people, to environments, even opportunities. But trying to do that is draining, right? So protecting builds structure. Then you get to stop asking, how do I show them who I am? And then you start asking questions like, what needs to be protected in order for this to grow? And when you heard that, the part of you resisted, because it means your environment isn't the problem. The hardest part, it wasn't changing my life. It was letting go of the person who I had to be in order to survive where I started. Because that version of you, it got you here. It worked. It protected you, but it also built a growth ceiling. And most people never break that ceiling. And it's because they never released the person that they were or their identity around it. So they upgrade their circumstance or their environment while holding on to the same person or internal structure. So they recreate the same life, but just at a higher level. But if you want to change that, do this. First, you need to identify your current self or your current pattern. I'm not talking about who you say you are. I'm talking about what you consistently do when you're under pressure. The second thing I want you to do is catch your emotional reactions in real time. Where do you tighten up at? Or where do you rush? What do you actually try to avoid? That's your current structure or who you are. So then the third thing you'd have to do is pause when you're making decisions under pressure. I'm not saying hesitate, but choose. That pause is where who you are shifts your entire identity. Your life doesn't change when your circumstances or your environment change. It changes when who you are or your identity does. And if you don't change who you are, you're gonna keep repeating the same life, just in different environments, under different circumstances. That's why I created the adaptive sovereignty framework, because real growth starts with how you think, decide, and move under pressure. So if this channel has helped you think independently with growth with your business or who you might be becoming as a person, subscribe, because this channel is being done independently by me, and that one small gesture can help me continue conversations just like this. So see you on the next episode, and take care.